What if a simple mechanism could enable your disc to regenerate, repair, and heal itself? Our story at the Disc Institute began when we asked the following question: can we achieve disease-modifying benefits to the disc with a restorative physiological mechanism approach? The idea revolved around taking cues from the academic facts of regenerative biology and the established specifics of disc physiology, and then applying the known dynamic mechanisms back to the disc that create relevant pathways to heal the cells and tissue of the disc. This process is intended to activate the disc cells in a way that allows the disc to heal itself. The search started by looking to nature. When you cut your finger, everyone knows that your finger will heal itself with natural cellular regeneration. When the heart or other organs of the body are unhealthy, they too have the possibility of natural cellular regeneration if you change the bad lifestyle habits of the individual. Active cellular regeneration happens all the time throughout the human body. One example is the epithelium in your gastrointestinal tract regenerates itself approximately every 5 days. This type of cellular regeneration is what keeps us healthy and alive. This is the nature of healing in all the parts of your body, including your disc. For your disc to remain healthy, it must remain in a regenerative state. What does it mean then when you have the symptoms and conditions of an unhealthy disc? When your disc is in a degenerative state, that means the natural ability for cellular regeneration has stopped. It's the opposite of a regenerative state. Once in the degenerative state, your disc will start to collapse, then tears, fissures, bulges, herniations, arthritis, and stenosis will occur, develop, and worsen over time. Just like a dying degenerative plant will go from wilting, changing colors, and other conditions, and then could be labeled as degenerative leaf disease. It is very important to understand that this is not the result of your age, weight, fitness, job, or heredity, but as the direct result of your disc not regenerating and not healing itself over time. The longer you stay in this non-regenerative state, the more conditions and symptoms will appear and the worse you get. In this MRI example, you can see that the top 2 discs are not degenerating and they are staying healthy, while the bottom disc is degenerating and developing conditions. Even though the discs are all the same age, carry the same weight, go to the same job, and have the same hereditary. The top 2 discs are being maintained, staying alive and healthy, while the bottom disc is dying, degenerating, and developing a herniation. And again, they're all the same age. So what stopped the cellular regeneration in that one disc and your discs if it's clearly not caused by age, weight, job, fitness level, etc.? Let's look at the science of disc pathophysiology for the answer. Here's an article titled Pathophysiology of Lumbar Disc Degeneration, a review of the literature. This was written by 3 prominent neurosurgeons. In the very first paragraph, second highlight, they state the disc itself is active tissue that contains significant mechanisms for self-repair. Now that comes right from the literature, that is a fact. Now let's enlarge that sentence and take another look. The disc itself is active tissue. That means it's alive, it's living, that contains significant mechanisms for self-repair. That is why we saw discs on the MRI that were healthy and alive and healing, because every disc has this mechanism. It's a part of your physiology that allows self-repair. This is the normal, that discs do self-repair as long as the mechanisms are in place. The mechanism they are referring to is the physiological mechanism of your disc called the pump mechanism. Physiology is a branch of biology that explains how all the parts of your body work. Physiology is essentially your owner's manual. Your pump mechanism allows your disc to regenerate and stay healthy by supplying your disc with water and nutrients while also taking out the cellular waste products. The reason this pump mechanism is so important is because your discs do not have a blood supply. So instead of your heart pumping blood to your disc has its own built-in pumping capabilities. This is the key. Your pump mechanism is 100% responsible for all the circulation to the cells of your disc so that they may regenerate and stay healthy. This is taken out of an anatomy physiology book, the image on the left. You can see the vertebrae on the top, disc in the middle, vertebrae in the bottom. This is representing a spinal joint. This also represents, with the up and down blue and red arrows, movement of that joint. That's what joints do, they move. So it is a movement-driven pump. It requires movement of the joint, which then causes an alternately compressing forces and relaxing forces on your disc, pumping water and waste products out and water and nutrients in. Baseline turgor is maintained by hydrophilic proteins. Turgor means strength and rigidity. Here's the key. In the anatomy physiology book, it clearly states that failure of the pump mechanism results in biochemical changes, which you can see in that disc. It's getting darker and thinner. The chemistry of the disc is changing without the proper nutrients and water, and that leads to the herniation and then causing the back pain. Now, this is the same if it's in your neck. The principles apply if it's a cervical disc or a lumbar disc. But again, the key fact here, and this is the basis of our work at the Disc Institute, is that there first is a failure of this pump mechanism that results in the changes that you accumulate in your disc, and then you get your symptoms. Take a look at this animation of the pump mechanism in action. Here's the spine coming into view, and we have a vertebrae on the top and bottom and the disc in the middle. Here you can clearly see the pumping action. The pumping is occurring because of the motion of that joint. Now we're going to slow the motion down, but you can see here in that downward motion, water and waste products come out, and now nutrients and water re-enter. The reason we're having this diffusion or circulation is because of the movement or the pumping action that you're seeing there. It's pumping the disc, so now nutrients and water get to go in, and water and waste get to come out. This is the normal process. When that normal process stops, as you can see here, now we no longer have movement in that spinal joint. And because there is a movement in that particular joint, typically due because of an injury, an accident, a trauma. You may know your injury, accident, trauma, or you may not. But the fact is, once a joint stops moving, now you lose circulation to that disc. Just like not watering a plant. Now that tissue, because it's not getting what it needs, starts to die, break down, and biochemically change. Here again with the MRI, you can see the healthy discs are conclusive evidence that in those discs, there is active cellular regeneration and healing occurring day in and day out, which also would prove that those two discs have the natural pumping mechanism in working order. And that's why it's called a mechanism of self-repair. It's occurring at those healthy discs. If you look at the bottom unhealthy disc, that would equal cellular degeneration and why you're getting all the conditions, and it also equates to a failed pump mechanism. Normal healthy discs do not have blood vessels. The nutrient supply and removal of waste occur via your pump mechanism. Disc cells require glucose and produce lactic acid at a high rate. This is why your pump mechanism is such a big deal to your disc. When your pump mechanism fails, it causes a loss of circulation and a failure to remove lactic acid from your disc. This is the accurate cause of disc degeneration. This is the root cause. This is the reason for your degeneration, not age, weight, job, etc. Your conditions are conclusive evidence of a failed pump mechanism at that particular disc. It is also evidence of that disc dying and not healing. Disc degeneration evolves into bulges, herniations, degenerative disc disease, arthritis, stenosis, tears, fissures, and essentially everything listed on your MRI report. But the degeneration is occurring first, and the conditions then evolve and develop. To get lasting relief, you must now focus your attention on correcting your failed pump mechanism so that your disc can regenerate, self-repair, and heal. This is what will reduce and remove your bulges or herniations and reduce your arthritis and stenosis. The Disc Institute developed IntraDiscNutrosis. It corrects and restores your pump mechanism back to normal so that circulation returns and stays with your discs as intended for self-repair, cellular regeneration, and healing. The Disc Institute was founded in 2008 to bring forth a new treatment based on disc regeneration and healing with the solid physiological evidence it could be done. IntraDiscNutrosis is the intellectual property of the Disc Institute. It was developed outside of all the known medical, chiropractic, and physical therapy approaches, making it an innovation and a standalone treatment only available at the Disc Institute. This approach has proven to have profound therapeutic benefits to many thousands of people who seek healing and lasting results versus the endless trap of pain management and spinal surgeries. Thank you for taking the time to educate yourself. Successful people always search for real answers and then act upon them. If you like this presentation, then your next logical step is to call the Disc Institute to see if you qualify as a candidate for care. Once you are qualified, I will personally explain how our non-invasive and drug-free approach works and how we do it.